Comes to questions for oral answer, and the first question is in the name of Craig Foss.
Mr. Speaker.
Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Infrastructure and reads, what steps has the government recently taken to help ease the sharpest impacts of the global recession and prepare New Zealand's economy for future growth?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, an announcement yesterday of nearly $500 million worth of quality building projects on schools, roads and housing has been warmly received across the country because it will make a real difference to communities and local businesses. In addition to our infrastructure package, we have already confirmed a program of income tax cuts over the next 3 years, passed before Christmas, sweeping changes to the cumbersome Resource Management Act, launched a $480 million package of tax and regulatory measures for small and medium enterprises, and we're now working hard on better, smarter public services from our departments and ministries.
Supplementary.
Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My supplementary to the Minister. What further measures will the government take as part of its jobs and growth plan?
Supplementary.
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, we will be announcing further infrastructure projects in coming months, and we're looking forward to the Prime Minister's Jobs Summit on February the 27th, where we will pick up the best ideas for creating jobs and building a more productive, higher income economy.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, can the Minister tell the House what the real additional cost of his infrastructure mini package is over and above what was in the plans already announced by the previous Labor government?
Supplementary.
Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, well, for the members' benefit, I'll point out the process again. The government has set aside an envelope of about $4.5 billion over the next 3 years, and he may remember his party criticising that aggressively back in August last year when we announced it. And yesterday took the first $500 million bite out of that $4.5 billion. We never said that it was all new spending. Some of it is simply bringing forward projects that were already planned.
Point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker.
The member will be silent while a point of order is heard. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, respectful of your direction to ministers to attempt to answer faithfully specific questions with specific replies, I seek your guidance. The question was, how much was new spending? The minister's now admitted to the House that much of it was not, but he has not answered the question, nor addressed it indeed.
The Minister in his reply mentioned a couple of figures that give the honourable member, some guidance in response to that, and he'll have further chance in a supplementary to seek it further. The honourable member may note I've actually ruled that I'm not. I'm not going to go into the detail, but the Minister mentioned at least two figures that I recollect in his answer, which gives some guidance. The member will have the chance to pursue that further. Craig Foss.
Supplementary to the Minister.
Point of order, the Honourable Anne Tolley.
And to the comments made by the member opposite.
Quite correct. The member cannot imply that someone was not telling the truth. I'd ask him to withdraw and apologise for that.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw and apologise.
Thank you. Craig Foss.
Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. Has the Minister seen or heard anything that remotely resembles an alternative plan to manage New Zealand through the recession which started under the previous Labor government?
Honourable Bill English.
Yeah. I have heard a number of mentions of an urgent, visionary, bold, cross-sectoral, comprehensive plan from the opposition spokesman on finance, and he confirmed this morning he might have something before an election, but he didn't say which election.
We're waiting.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, taking as just one example What proportion of the funding announced for the famous Korpu Bridge yesterday is actually...
There's a point of order, the Honourable Rodney Hyde.
Speaker, I think you know my point. The question should be a question, not a statement.
The member makes a perfectly good point of order. The Honourable David Cunliffe, please comply.
What proportion of the funding announced for the now famous Korpu Bridge yesterday is actually new money, and what proportion represents the new cost of bringing the date of that bridge forward by a few months or other cost increases?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, if we counted as new money projects which now have funding, which were announced by Labor but weren't funded, then pretty well everything we're doing is new money.
The point of order. Point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Order. The point of order will be heard. The point of order will be heard in silence.
Mr. Speaker, the minister's reply neither addressed the Korpu Bridge, could not have done because that was funded, nor did it mention how much, which was the point of the question.
Order. The minister, in answering his question, said it was not funded. I cannot adjudicate on whether or not that is correct. The minister will have further supplementaries to pursue that particular issue. The Honourable Jim Anderton.
Mr. Speaker, can the minister...
Point of order, the Honourable Dr Michael Cullen.
Can I take it from that ruling that you are telling this House, and of course your rulings on these matters must be taken as the gospel truth, the statement that something was not funded is not a factual statement on which you can rule?
The point I was making for the honourable member's sake is that the Honourable David Cunliffe raised the issue of whether or not that was correct what the minister had said. That is not a valid point of order. I cannot adjudicate on that. If the minister is not happy, if the member is not happy with the answer, he can pursue it further. The Honourable Jim Anderton. Point of order, the Honourable Dr Michael Cullen.
Take what you're saying from that is that when the government says not funded, they really mean an appropriation has not yet been passed, which of course hasn't yet occurred for yesterday's package either.
The member knows that is not a point of order under any of our standing orders. He is the most knowledgeable of standing orders in this House, and that is not a point of order.